This is tough. Jakub Dobes makes some incredible saves in a 40-save performance. Honestly, I don't want to say hung out to dry, but he deserved better fate. Montreal, though, climbed back from a 2-goal deficit twice in this game, with Carrier scoring, Caufield scoring his 25th, being on a 42-goal pace, Slafkovsky winning an incredible board battle to get it to Caufield, to Suzuki, who is now over a point per game, the most points this far into a season by any Hab in the last 15 years. But there were some tough aspects to this game, and one player in particular that we definitely have to talk about. A lot of that coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. Jesse, let's just start off. I think we got to start off by giving Dobes his flowers. Now, we'll get to some more stuff a little bit later that you'll want to stick around for on Dobes, because there's a lot of discussion heading into the Habs next game, so stick around for that. But I do want to just start off by saying, I agree with this tweet. Dobes deserved a better fate. I don't want to say he deserved a better effort in front of him. I don't think that's just. I think the Habs played a good game tonight, and honestly, coming back twice was amazing. First of all, Jesse, what were your thoughts on this game overall, and what were your thoughts of our boy Dobes in net saving 40 shots, saving 40 out of 44 shots?
Yeah, tonight just felt like a playoff game. Absolutely amazing to get this 1 point, a tight race. For sure, we want those two at this point. We know that we have had some success in that overtime period. We were all kind of looking to Nick Suzuki there. But again, just a tremendous effort, kind of being down here and then, those 2 goals and showing that resilience again. I think there's a couple trends, which I think the Montreal Canadiens are going to want to kind of limit going forward. That's, allowing, kind of 40-plus shots and also allowing those kind of late goals in, at the end of periods. At the same time, I think, a really solid effort. Like, as this game went on, the Montreal Canadiens just found their rhythm more and more. And I feel like that's kind of like indicative of the season. Like, as the season goes on, they're just getting harder and harder. For sure, we want those 2 points, but every single point right now really matters. So, in a lot of ways, I'm really liking the effort from the boys tonight.
Absolutely. And I think Dobes helped him get to a couple points. And here's the thing, you're very right in the sense that, I feel like earlier this season, the problem was, they didn't play a complete 60 minutes a lot. But a lot of the time, it wasn't the first period. It was maybe the first, maybe the second, maybe the third. Now, it feels like they're getting more comfortable as the games go on. They know what it takes to win. The amount of comeback wins they've had has been incredible, and that has taught them how to come back in games. Now, I don't think it's a sustainable strategy to go down in almost every game like they've been doing lately, but they seem to find a way. And a bad first period. Honestly, you could look at this game, Jesse, that first period, especially just those 2 late goals, or, the late goal, really, the Jesper Bratt backhander. One of Dobes' weaker goals he's let in, and that's fine. He's going to do that occasionally. You got to live with that, right? But the Habs found a way to fight back, right? They had a little bit of a lapse there in that first period, and they came back and fought back. So I think it's good. Dobes in particular, though, Jesse, Dobie, you know what? No, we'll talk about him later, because I told you guys we'll talk about him later. There's so much I want to talk about with him, but there's a few other things I want to mention too. And, I'll flash up this game scorecard. I know a lot of you guys want to talk about a certain player right at the bottom. We will get to that too. But before we get into some controversial talk, because I have maybe a controversial hot take for you guys. I want to dive into Nick Suzuki, Jesse. Now, he actually ended up finishing the night with another point after I took this screenshot of this tweet. Canadiens Muse, great follow again on Twitter if you're still using X. I'm not sure if they're on Blue Sky. However, Nick Suzuki, he's up to 50 points in 49 games, Jesse. That's by far the most points ever since 2008, 2009, in the last 16 seasons. The most points by Hab this far into the season. Not to mention, they don't even have Caufield on this list. Caufield's up to 45 points this season as well. 25 goals, 21 assists. To have Habs number 1 and 3 in the last 15 years, both this season on this list, Jesse, is unbelievably impressive.
Long enough, right? And showing many reasons of why this team is really kind of back in that mix, kind of right now. And we see, obviously, this first line was huge tonight. Obviously, kind of Cole and Nick were doing a little bit of everything, a little bit of role reversal on that first goal from them, where it was actually Cole Caufield setting up Nick Suzuki for the snipe. Mm-hmm. And then, all is well in the world, where then again, it's Nick Suzuki kind of setting up Cole Caufield. But we see, Slafkovsky being a part of that as well, kind of playing his role, winning those battles to kind of facilitate those plays to happen. So again, a great work from them. I think special shout out to Kirby Dach. I like what we're seeing from his game. It's building. For sure, there's some things we want to see. I think on that second power play unit, I want to see him taking more control over the ice. On that second PP unit, for me, he's that best player on the ice. So I want him to kind of take control, have that puck on his stick a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive when he is getting those opportunities there. But I really like what he's building on right now.
I think Kirby Dach is, very, very good. Now, the PP2, I've been somewhat critical of them over the past little stretch, but I think Kirby Dach, I think there's a lot of potential there, right? Like, it's not the Habs power plays fluctuated a little bit this season. I think there's more potential there than people give it credit for. So really, really good. And before we get into the last two guys, just wanted to mention Alex Carrier. What a bomb from the point. How effective has he been? Again, you look at this game scorecard, it's Suzuki, Caufield, Slav, and Carrier. This dude is carrying a lot of the load on his back. So bad. Why regret that already? 22 minutes on ice. By the way, Cayden Guhle was our most used defender tonight. Carrier there, a minute of shorthanded time, 22 minutes of even strength time on ice. Just some unreal stuff from him too. Any quick comments on that?
Yeah, I'm giving the Mitchie Stevens tonight, in my opinion, to Alex Carrier. Not just, for the goal, but I think he deserves it just for his overall impact on this team that he's really had. Obviously just being a phenomenal player, fitting in, just seems to fit the culture. Again, great ad by Hughes of kind of hiring for attitude a lot of ways, obviously fitting the bill of the role that we really need for this team as well.
I think that's a great selection for player of the game. Mitchell Stevens, player of the game, for those of you who want to wear. I was actually torn between him, Suzuki, and Dobes. We've given it to Dobes a couple times. I might just give it to Suzuki to have someone different, but I really like the Carrier choice. It's really good. Let us know down below who your Mitchell Stevens player of the game is. Jesse, it's time to get into the guy at the bottom of this list, though. Look, I don't want to talk about Matheson too long, but we got to talk about him because a lot of people are talking a lot about what happened. Again, I'll play that final goal for you again. Look, I think this was more bad line A pass than bad Matheson hustle. Now, that wasn't the only bad play this game. I might defend Matheson a bit here. I know he hasn't been good. I know he hasn't been good in certain moments. He makes bad mistakes at bad times. And I think a lot of people's problem is that he plays a lot of ice time. I'm not defending the mistakes. I think he's been better than people give him credit for. I think Matheson is like such a good guy and good teammate. And I think no one will really disagree with that, even the people who don't like his play on the ice. I don't know, Jesse. I don't want to dive too deep into this controversial topic right now. I know a lot of people are writing their comments already, and I'd love to hear all of your opinions on Matheson. I don't think this was a very good game from him tonight. But I also don't think we should, send him to the shadow realm like some people are saying. I think he still eats a ton of minutes. He's still solid in the defensive end, though definitely not his night tonight.
For sure, but I've been much more impressed with his game of late. I think obviously the Montreal Canadiens record, I think they're not playing as well as they can with having a player that plays as much ice time as Mike Matheson, unless he's playing well on the ice right now. Obviously, I think that last goal was a little bit more on Patrik Laine. We've seen a couple times where maybe he stops moving his feet and then he kind of starts telegraphing or kind of forcing some plays. That being said, I absolutely love Patrik Laine. I am so happy that he's on this team. I love watching him play. It just added to my enjoyment of watching the game, which I enjoyed so much tonight, of Patrik Laine being a part of this lineup here. If there's one thing for Matheson, I will say is that blocking those cross ice passes, kind of those cross seams we'll see often kind of in front of the net. That's maybe one thing because we've seen a couple of those kind of going in. I'd love to see him kind of get a stick block those kind of plays right now. Otherwise, I'm really liking a lot of the things that we're seeing right now from his game.
Yeah, I think he's honestly just electric to have on the ice. And real good stuff from him. Second line obviously wasn't as good tonight, but there's a lot of electricity on that line. Dach can have these moments. Yeah. Blue hook speed, line a shot. There's so much to go along with there to like about that line. So really good stuff. Look, I think a lot of you guys probably won't agree with Matheson defense, but I want to hear from you. I want to tell us why we're wrong or respond to this because I really want to have a conversation down there about Mike Matheson right now because it's definitely a hot topic. But Jesse, the other big thing here now, this is also tough, but it's more of a tough decision. This is an article from Ryan Sport, just a headline that I wanted to show you guys. There's a lot of talk about Dobes. This guy's saying Dobes deserves at least 10 more starts in 24-25. I think he could get even more, Jesse, with about 35 games left in the season, 33, I think now, games left in the season. Honestly, it would shock me if he didn't get at least 10 more. I'm saying 10 to 12. I'm saying 12. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say he'll get half of the starts the rest of the way. But again, after a performance like tonight, do you start him next game versus Winnipeg? Marty's been very adamant about running, swapping him one by one or even giving Monty a couple games in a row. I still think Monty goes next game, even despite this performance. But Dobes honestly gave him a chance to win tonight. I don't know. Are we at the point after this 40-save performance, him saving the game in late third, that are we ready to start giving him 2 games back-to-back? I'm trending towards yes. I just don't think the Habs are yet.
Not quite yet, but obviously that time is coming. Again, he's undefeated in regulation time. Again, the sample size, Jakub Dobes is a good goalie, and that's all that there is to it now. Like, and it's actually just such a tremendous ad for this team, you know, to kind of having him out of the woodwork playing so well. Josh, like, I see very much a world where like Montreal Canadiens making the playoffs, and like it's basically a coin flip. Like, they have such a good chance of making it. Every single point so important. I definitely see a world. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, and, you know, respect to Monty, but like, can't we all kind of see Jakub Dobes, you know, when it comes down to the playoffs and now they have to kind of name a starter where it's like, you just have to go with winning, like Jakub Dobes becoming that starter, right? And then if he's playing good, kind of start playoff, you know, time again against a very good New Jersey team who've had historically a very hard time of beating of late. Like, Jakub Dobes gave us, you know, one of our best chances in a long time of beating this team. We were very much in this game, you know, allowing, you know, 40 plus shots because of his performance again at such clutch times. That glove save in the third period, I think, is one of those exclamation parts on it. Again, showing such confidence coming out of his net. And when you're kind of doing this so consistently, showing like this confidence isn't going to go away. Like, this is just how this guy plays. He's got great size. He's got great technique. He's got great confidence. You put that all together, and he got an opportunity to win every night.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look, Montreal could go with a tandem. I mean, if they do end up in the playoff picture, again, losing a couple games in a row is not going to help you, but there's a lot of season left, and picking up 1 point after being down 2 goals multiple times is what you need to do, especially against good teams like New Jersey to make that playoff push. We've seen tandems go into the playoffs before, but a lot of the time it doesn't really work out. You know, Edmonton's tandem, that's different situation. But like, we saw it in Vegas, right? I mean, Adin Hill, of course, ended up being kind of like the folk hero there. But like, you know, there's ones we've seen before, but I don't know if it's sustainable. It's never been a proven sustainable model. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's getting close. I want to hear your guys' thoughts about Dobes after this performance. Are you ready to give him the reins? Again, I don't know. He's young. He still has a lot left to prove. But tonight was definitely another step in the right direction. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. There's a lot to digest here today. Oh my gosh, if you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Also, a little shout out to a couple of young Habs and Habs Digest fans for these little notes. Really, really nice. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.